All right, so I started this video and then something went haywire on my phone, so hopefully it doesn't happen again. Okay, so we have taken a look at this chart more than once, and we're dealing with truth values of a conditional statement. And so we have our hypothesis, which we usually use P for, although it's not the law. And we have our conclusion, which we usually use Q for, but again, it's not a law. And so you have all your possible combinations of true and false. So they could both be true, or they could both be false, or the hypothesis could be true and the conclusion's false, or vice versa, the hypothesis is false and the conclusion is true. The only way that you can get a false truth value for a conditional is if the hypothesis is true and the conclusion is false. This is the only way you can get a false. So if you have true implies true, that's true. If you have false implies false, that's true. And if you have false implies true, that's true. Okay, so obviously coming back to this on more than one occasion, okay, that would mean that this is probably pretty important. Okay, so you want to make sure you hold on to that. Okay, and this is the guy you have to remember. True implies false is always false. Otherwise, the statement is always true. Okay, so again, we started talking about these manipulations, okay, of a conditional statement. Okay, we have the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive. Okay, so the converse is when you switch the hypothesis and the conclusion. Okay, so you would rewrite it, the converse of the original statement would be Q implies P. Okay, the inverse, you don't switch them, you just negate them. Okay, so you'd say non-P implies non-Q. And then the contrapositive, you would switch the hypothesis and conclusion and negate them. Okay, so until you get the hang of this, you want to keep coming back to this slide. Okay, keep coming back. Okay, so let's see what we have. So we're using this statement, if it's sunny, then it will not rain. Okay, so we have to identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. So that's the very first thing we'll do. Okay, the hypothesis. Okay, and remember that's our P. Okay, and then the conclusion. And remember that's our Q. Okay, so if it's sunny. Okay, so if tells you where the hypothesis is at. So if it's sunny, so that's our hypothesis. It's sunny. And remember, you don't include the word if in there. Then, okay, then tells us where our conclusion is. Then it will not rain. Okay, so it will not rain. So if it's sunny, our hypothesis, then it will not rain, our conclusion. Okay, so it wants us to come up with the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive. So let's start with the converse. Okay, so you go back here. Okay, and so remember the converse, we don't negate anything, we just switch it. So your conclusion becomes your hypothesis, and your hypothesis becomes your conclusion. Okay, so we would say if Q, it will not rain, then it's sunny. Okay? You can talk about the true statement here. You know, is this a true statement? So if it doesn't rain, then that means it's sunny. No. Okay, we know that. How many times have we gone out in northeastern Ohio where it's certainly not raining, but it's really gloomy outside? The sun's not up at all. Okay, it's overcast, cloudy. Okay, so just because it's not raining doesn't mean it's sunny. So obviously this guy seems like he would be false. Then we do our inverse. Okay, so again, go back here and you say, okay, what's the inverse? Well, we don't switch to P and Q, we just negate them. Okay, so let's see. So I have to take this and negate it. So if it's not sunny, if it's not sunny, then I have to negate this. It will not rain becomes it will rain. Okay, and then we think, okay, we're living here in the Brookfield area in northeastern Ohio. So if it's not sunny, does that mean it will rain? Of course not. Okay, so if it's not sunny, that doesn't mean rain's going to happen. It just means it's not sunny. So it would certainly seem that this would be a false statement as well. Okay, then we have to do the contrapositive. Okay, so let's see, what do we do with the contrapositive? Okay, notice you have to switch to P and Q and negate them. Okay, so we would say if non-Q, then non-P. Okay, so we'd say if it will rain, then it's not sunny. And then you could talk about the true statement there. So let's see. If it's going to rain, then it's not sunny. Oh, I don't know. I know in the middle of summer, I've seen the sun shining and rain starts coming down. Okay, so that would make this seem like that would probably be a false statement. Okay, so just remember your converse, okay, is Q implies P. Okay, your inverse is non-P implies non-Q. Okay, and then your contrapositive would be non-Q implies non-P. Okay, so we're good on that first guy through. Let's try another one of those. So again, we'll keep this guy handy, and we'll keep referring back to it until we don't need to. Okay, so let's say if we lose, okay, so if we lose has to be our hypothesis. Okay, so our hypothesis, okay, which is P, okay, if we lose, so we lose is our hypothesis, and then we come up with our conclusion. Remember, that's our Q, okay? And so if we lose, then I will be upset. I will be upset. Okay, so let's see. We've got to come up with our converse. All right, remember the converse, you don't negate anything, we just switch the P and the Q. So rather than P implies Q, we have Q implies P. So this would be Q implies P. Okay, so we say if I will be upset, or if I'm upset, then we lose. Now that would seem false to me. I'm thinking, okay, so if I'm I don't know, let's suppose I'm on the football team and I'm going to play a game and I'm upset with, I don't know, I'm upset with a friend of mine, or maybe my mother was giving me a hard time or whatever. Maybe I'm upset with one of my teachers. Maybe I'm upset with Klein, who knows? So I'm upset, does that mean we're going to lose? No, of course not, okay? You could be upset and go out and win the game, no problem. Okay, so let's do our inverse. Okay, and then you go here and you say, okay, inverse. Remember, we don't switch them, we just negate them. So non-P implies non-Q. Okay, so non-P implies non-Q. Okay, so we say if, I have to negate that. If we win, or we don't lose, no matter how you want to say it, if we win, then I have to negate this. I won't be upset. Okay, so it depends on how you interpret that. Okay, if we win, then I won't be upset. Well, certainly you won't be upset about the game because you won, but I have certainly been around enough people where maybe they win at a contest, but they know they didn't play well, okay, or they didn't perform well, so they're still upset with themselves. Okay, so it seems to me that this might be a true statement with some people, it might be a false statement with other people. Okay, then we got to go contrapositive. Okay, so remember, not only do we have to switch to P and Q, but we have to negate them. So it'd be non-Q implies non-P. So non-Q implies non-P. Okay, so we say if, I have to negate this. I won't be upset if I'm not upset. Then I have to negate this. We win. Okay, so if I'm not upset, then we win. Well, that doesn't make any sense either, okay? That would certainly be false in many cases. So if you're not upset, then that means we're going to win at some contest. No, that doesn't happen. If you're not upset, you could still lose, okay? All right, so we will take a look at some more topics involving these conditionals and converses, inverses, and contrapositives in the next video as well.